Hello again everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we have another 1v1 of Chisato vs StarDom. This is being played on the map Canis River. We haven't actually seen this map before on the channel, so it's nice to see something a little bit new. And we are seeing a difference in start position here, but before we get into that, just a quick reminder that this Saturday coming we have a 1v1 tournament hosted by Barcast TV, the Bar Pro League, and that will be on the 24th and it will be being live streamed. This match itself is one of the qualifying matches for this tournament, so if you'd like to see the winner of these games going through into the final, you better tune in on Saturday. Now, as we zoom in here on StarDom, we've seen pretty recently in a couple of games, see him starting on a triple mex, investing quite heavily into wind at the beginning here before finishing that factory. Wind speed is okay right now. And meanwhile, as we switch over to Chisato here, going vehicles actually instead. Both players are Cortex. This is going to give him, when I say him, Chisato, the ability to build scouts, which StarDom is not going to have access to. Now, let's have a quick zoom out and look at the map here, shall we? Now we can see it's rotationally mirrored. We can see it's mirrored along this direction and rotated. So rotationally mirrored, as I keep getting told. There is some high ground along the top. Some water, which is going to be impassable by any units. If we select this, just check transversibility. Mostly is not transversable. Yes, isn't going to be transversable there. So we have a couple of roads that they can take. We've got the two obvious ones here, and then along the top and bottom, it does seem like there's some pathing options there. As we just go quick and select. So yep, there's some low water there that can be pathed across. Now, instantly we see Chisato here deciding that he's actually going to push up to one of those low grounds, and is just moving with his commander along this north side. Now, difference in start position here for Chisato as opposed to StarDom. StarDom has built his base further forward, giving a free amount of control to get these metal points here without much contention. Whereas Chisato's gone for a bit more defense when it comes to his start position. And both players here not going for any early harass, purely dumping everything into economy. And the first combat units we see out on the field are from StarDom in the bottom there, which are just some early scouting grunts that are just going to provide a bit of vision and kind of give StarDom the idea of where the enemy forces are, where they're moving and such. Whereas, as we mentioned, Chisato here, purely investing in economy. His factory is currently idle at the moment, as in is investing a lot into his economy in different locations now. This is a somewhat questionable position for an LLT. Its angle is going to be completely blocked right there, which means that scout or some form of unit could get right up and kill that metal extractor without having to worry about it whatsoever. So should probably place the radar behind the LLT, but we do see some defensive forces now coming out from Chisato here, just to defend these expanding engineers just as the grunt arrives, which will get mopped up very quickly. Incisors trade very well against grunts. And now StarDom knows, well, that's where Chisato's comm is. Doesn't give knowledge as to where the base is. Now, it seems that this grunt can move up the hill, and that is going to be 2 metal points for free, as well as an engineer or construction vehicle. And Chisato's like, rip, GG. Purely because of the one grunt desperately trying to send a incisor up there, but it will get the construction vehicle for free, the extra wind economy, and the 2 metal extractors. It's not too big a deal, but at the same time, Chisato has done 0 in the way of aggression early on, and he's another engineer going to be killed now as well. Chisato investing too much into economy, not enough into units to defend right now, and that has just given the... Oh, doesn't actually lose the bottom construction vehicle. Very lucky there. And currently StarDom doing a great job at containing Chisato, sending in enough forces to just harass him, force him to be on the defensive rather than spreading out. StarDom free reign here, just exploiting nakedly with this just one construction and heading out on its own. Same with this one on the north here. No defensive units and the one outside of his base. Keeping his commander in base here to A, defend it, and B, to add that extra construction power to the factory. The commander, if you're not aware, has the highest amount of construction power available in the game, so definitely makes sense to use your commander for that purpose if you're not deciding to use it as a combat weapon, which is the difference here we have with Chisato deciding to go for more of a combat orientated focus. Again though, building the radar right in front of the laser tower here, you would surely be expecting the enemy to be moving this way or this way. And again, the radar's just in front of the LLT. Self-destruct planned there. Great use of the self-destruct on the laser tower there to take out all of those grunts with the exception of one. Now, for those that aren't aware, some units have special explosions if they self-destruct. And the LLT is one of them, having a larger explosion. Great attack here, though, on the bottom from Chisato, managing to get a good bit of damage done. However, it will just be a single construction vehicle and a couple of metal extractors. Not too great. Managed to deal up a couple of grunts, but it does make StarDom have to react, and this gives a bit of breathing room for Chisato, as he's got these further metal extractors, building more LLTs to defend there, grouping those a bit close so they're not going to be able to use the self-D mechanic. But as we quickly look at each player's view here, we can see, so Chisato has basically known that the enemy is not going to be there. From the spawning of units and stuff, he knows it's not going to be there and probably not there. So he knows the enemy is going to be somewhere in that area. Whereas if we look at StarDom, he's already seen the majority of the economy of Chisato here. So he knows the enemy's main base is there. So he knows where he can focus his forces, focus his attack. And Chisato not doing as well radar coverage wise here, as StarDom definitely has better coverage radar wise on this front line here, being able to see these forces amassing and able to react because of it. But incisors will last longer than the grunts, at least in terms of usefulness, but it doesn't surprise me if we start seeing some form of transition over to something a bit more heavier. Although saying that, we see shurikens coming out and probably bombers very soon after. If I was StarDom, I would probably focus on getting a couple of bombers out to get some damage out before these shurikens get spotted. If these shurikens get spotted before he's able to make some form of bombing run, then, I mean, other than just using shurikens, the factory is going to be pretty useless. Meanwhile, another raid just takes place at the bottom there, just of the last two remaining forces. Nothing really happens with them though. And we see the resbots here actually just resurrecting all the tanks that were left. At this point, it might be worth just self-D'ing that incisor if it wasn't going to make it back, so that you don't leave the wreck for your enemy. Now, although Chisato was a bit behind in terms of units, he's the first one to take control of the entire economy on his side. And we see that he is now up to 50 metal, as opposed to the 44. There was a bit of reclaim going on there. Deciding to actually go just for shurikens. No bombers being built here. Hoping to get a massive push here against these incisors. And the shurikens do their job. Half of the force there taken out by the shurikens in the first initial volley. Every single incisor there now being completely frozen. And this has just allowed this grunt force to push right through. Nothing stopping it all. Fighters do come out pretty quickly. This is good timing on Chisato here. Although the fighter is struggling to take out these shurikens. He's trying to micro the fighter in order to get good lines of sight on it, to get it to shoot off enough shots in order to take out a shuriken. But StarDom doing a good job to also do the same thing with the shurikens, keeping them moving, making them difficult to pin down. Shurikens of his own coming out now from StarDom, from Chisato rather. And these forces will get mopped up pretty quick. And now the advantage of the early air, it has just been completely gone from StarDom. The early push did manage to get a bit of economy damage done. 4 mechs is total, and a construction vehicle as well, plus some other little bits and bobs, but not too much really to worry about. Energy issues though currently for Chisato, meaning these armed mech extractors aren't going to be able to do quite as much as he was intending. Fighters also coming out for StarDom now. Going to neutralize the shurikens of the blue team. But he does pull them back though before they all get taken out, and we are back to a status quo here. Quickly checking the base of StarDom, we can see he's transitioned to vehicles himself here, using the construction bots mostly, some res bots. Still building grunts though. Where are these grunts going? Just to the north of the base, and pretty much just fighters and a single shuriken coming out, whereas we see actually the same from Chisato here, but purely producing just fighters and just resbots from the bot lab. Meanwhile, Chisato's comm being on the north here kind of makes me think he's a little bit out of position, because he's not really doing much with his commander here. He's just pushing up along this top side, but his commander's not helping anything when it comes to actual combat or anything. Whereas StarDom, right in the middle of his forces and on the bottom here. We've got some thugs as well as incisors in the mix up there, whereas we've got a couple of brutes coming out from Chisato. And StarDom with a bigger blob here. 13 grunts, 18 incisors, and 4 thugs, as opposed to 22 incisors and a single brute. StarDom able to creep forward with his commander and his units, building more forward laser towers and radars, so we can see these forces of Chisato coming in, and this does open up a big hole if Chisato's not careful. The forces just coming straight through into wide open country. Chisato needs to contain him there. Meanwhile, his commander is just going around claiming any solars that were left over, and seems to be mostly just getting reclaimed on the rocks and the trees that are around. Kind of surprising that he doesn't move down here with his commander, build like a bot lab here instead, get rid of the one he's got back in base, which he has already done, and then start applying some pressure here. Force StarDom to split his forces up, you know, redictate the pace of the game. If you break through here or break through up here, you can get around the back line, and it's going to force StarDom to have to react. At the moment, StarDom is definitely dictating the game here. Chisato building loads of laser tower defenses on the hill there and around the side, trying to hold off this flank. Now, the brutes that he does have will trade favorably against what's there. I would maybe say I'm surprised we're not seeing a couple of levelers there. As I say that, actually, the pounders are coming in here, which will do a good job against that grunt swarm if it does choose to engage. Resbots right behind here, resurrecting any unit that does fall. As long as Chisato doesn't go for a full engage, he'll do well. StarDom here deciding to go in on this instance does actually trade badly for his situation there. Both teams' fighters come in at the same time, and Chisato decides to make a push for it, forcing StarDom back. Tech 2, though, out on the field now from StarDom, and Chisato really should be pulling back here and trying to hold out while he gets his own Tech 2 up. He cannot throw away his forces here. The rate in which these Tech 2 tanks are coming out, Chisato does not have the forces to deal with that many Tech 2 already. We're seeing 4 Tigers on the front line here. Redbots are resurrecting the forces at an alarming rate. And yeah, I was about to say Chisato was about to head further down, but no, it does seem like he's decided to stay there. I don't know where all this fire came from. Trees, I think. But StarDom left with only the Tech 2 units. He stopped producing Tier 1, obviously. Just left with the 5 Tigers. Although Chisato keeps pushing into a lot of fortifications here. He has managed to push in surprisingly well, but we do see a transition to Tech 2 here from Chisato as well. Meanwhile, the Tech 1 forces aren't going to last too much longer, I would guess. As soon as there starts getting a critical mass of Tech 2, the Tech 1 won't last. So we are seeing 8 Tigers now. The Resbots are just going behind, just resurrecting as much as they can. Chisato just pulsing in and out in waves, trying to get damage done, just cause more economy damage. There was quite a lot of wins there. And just amassing as much Tech 1 as he can, forcing StarDom even further back. StarDom now almost out the front of his base. Some units we see now getting split off to deal with the economy along the bottom. Don't know if that's going to quite be enough. Actually, all of Chisato's forces now being split up across the entire map. Now, how is StarDom going to play this? StarDom could choose to just rush straight towards Chisato's base, force Chisato to respond, or is he going to try and defend his base? It does look like he's doing a bit of both, splitting up half the Tigers to defend, half the Tigers to attack. But the economy damage here is going to set StarDom back quite a bit. These armed metal extractors will die relatively quickly to this many brutes, and along the bottom we see the same happening again. Unfortunately, these tanks cannot scale the hill there, and they will probably get mopped up pretty quickly. Maybe worth a self-D here of these units, not give the Rex. Yep, there we go. It does go off. Unfortunately, the self-D does not go off quick enough and does end up giving Reclaim. Meanwhile, the Tigers come in. But by this point, Chisato already has some of his own. And the Shuriken's not enough there to slow them down. Air superiority is starting to tip more in StarDom's favor, though, as not enough fighters being built by Chisato. Good economy raid, though, here, as a lot of metal extractors end up getting taken out. They may get a Tech 2 engineer if Chisato is paying attention. Nope. Tech 2 engineer does get away. But we'll get a decent amount of damage as we see these forces get around the bottom here, forcing StarDom to react and spread out his Tech 2. Is he going to put these in the corner and self-D them? Maybe. No, he's going to try and get out. This one fuck, though. The little fuck that could, right in the enemy base. Those tanks try to get self-D'd as well, but not going to happen. And getting a group of about 9 windmills, the Fug. And here we see the Tigers actually going to push to the north side where Chisato's comm was for a very long time. And these laser towers will last literally seconds against all of these Tigers. And we now have purely Tech 2 facing off against each other with the assist of air. And Chisato, though, still well in advance in the economy-wise at this stage. As we quickly see, these tanks aren't going to get much done here. Probably get cleared up pretty well. Chisato's hoping not to lose too many of the Tigers, but he could get Resbots out here and resurrect all these Tigers. Although, Not a good enough intercept, and Chisato does lose a couple more metal extractors. Not too big a deal. They're only Tech 1 at this point. As we quickly zoom out, get a reaffirm of the map here. More Tech 2 tanks pushing along the bottom side of Chisato. And the hole where his commander was is again getting pushed by even more Tigers. Chisato desperately needs to be pumping out more units right now. He's got a lot of idle build power chasing around this Tech 2. Quickly checking the statistics while we have some eyes on what's going on behind here. We can see units produced 488 for StarDom as opposed to the 433 expected with bots versus vehicles. And metal produced, there's only 2k difference in it. So not as much as we thought. Energy produced is very close as well. But the energy excess of StarDom is quite a lot. Talking 4 times the amount of energy excess from StarDom as opposed to Chisato. But Chisato right now having energy issues in general. He's going to have that even more now as he's about to lose a geothermal with no units left there to defend, and these Tigers can just willingly push through. And the initiative has gone back to StarDom after that economy destruction that we saw a minute ago. And Chisato, no units quick enough to react to these engagements. He's desperately running forces just to try and defend stuff. Meanwhile, that just opens holes in different locations. And as we quickly look at the radar coverage here of Chisato, he is lacking radar coverage along the bottom and along the top, opening avenues to attack where he's not going to be able to get the radar coverage, the units there quick enough. But at the moment, we are seeing mostly small engagements here, although these Tigers pushing up along the bottom side is a bit dangerous. Chisato has his own Tigers here to try and stop this push fresh out the factory, and those will get cleaned up quite well. But this engagement in the middle is one to be a little bit worried about for Chisato's sake here, as he's on the receiving end of a lot of punishment. In an attempt to re-dictate the game here, Chisato sends some Tigers forward, but unfortunately they get mopped up without much damage being done. And Chisato does manage to deal with these forces at the front. It's a fair trade though. Most of the units actually causing some friendly fire to his own tanks there actually. And these Tigers will be able to fall back and not lose all of them. However, this one is very close to dying with 198 health remaining. So, what are both players thinking now? Well, Chisato, desperately hungry for energy right now. Needs some form of energy construction. Whether he's going to go for some form of fusion, I doubt it. But he needs energy. Currently, his commander is idle. Going for some res bots. That's a good move with how much metal there is scattered around the map. It wouldn't be a bad shout, but energy is a massive deficit for him. We are at 4 energy from the winds right now, so that would explain a lot. Maybe about to lose a Tech 2 constructor here. He tries to pull it back, but the constructors are quite slow. Resbots also probably coming out here just to get some resurrections on all the Tigers left. Bombers causing more friendly fire damage than anything. Bot lab that's just been built gets destroyed pretty quickly. And the Tech 2 construction bot tries to get focused down. Gets pushed along in front of the Tigers here and probably gets destroyed. Yes, Tech 2 constructor gets absolutely obliterated. Meanwhile, actually, almost missed it. Chisato gets a run by on StarDom's base here. Not going to inflict too much damage, I don't think, here. We'll get some Tech 2 constructors, especially if he heads north. We also see, as mentioned before, a more north base being built here. Chisato doesn't currently know it's there. Now would probably have been a good time to split up these tanks and 3 north, 2 south. Forcing StarDom to have to split his forces even more, but unfortunately not. Meanwhile, this single tank actually manages to cause a bit of pain here for StarDom. And again, the back and throw here is quite amazing. We see another 9 Tigers from Chisato just heading straight into StarDom's base here, and he only has about 2 Tigers, 4 Tigers total, I think, by the time the units get there. And he's going to have to bring his commander out here, which is a bit risky. He's hoping for the D-gun. StarDom cloaks. Hoping for the D-gun and managed to get 3 Tigers there with the D-gun, which is enough to force Chisato back. Resbots are already on, trying to resurrect everything that's come through. Meanwhile, a bunch more Tigers again coming in. And Chisato definitely reset the pace of the game in his favor here. What happened to change that? A lot of advanced solars have been built. A very, very large amount of solars being built here to keep him back in the game. Resbots. A lot of resbots as well, resurrecting all the tanks that were left over, giving him the switch in units that he needed to get him back in the game here. StarDom about to lose a huge amount of energy as all of these windmill farms get destroyed that's along the bottom of his base, but these Tigers will get killed pretty quickly. Is he going to get the fusion? Desperately trying to heal it with every resbot he has, and it does get destroyed. Big energy hit now for StarDom as he's down to 1.2k energy production as opposed to the 2.6 of Chisato. And that's a big E hit for StarDom. He was in the process of building another fusion already, but still losing the majority of your energy is not a good thing to have. The tier 2 factory actually ended up on 78% health as well. And this is looking in Chisato's favor right now, but 26 minutes in, both players not really able to put the nail in the coffin of the opponent, and mostly just trading blows. However, Chisato's blows have definitely been a lot more effective here. Going for the self-destruct on the Tigers here, trying not to leave the wreck, only gets 1. More harass here again from the bottom, although this is literally doing nothing. And does manage to get that Tech 2 metal extractor. And we see 100 difference in metal production. With StarDom at 60, was 60, now 57 metal produced. And Chisato on 164. Chisato actually not able to use all the metal he's coming in here with a bank of 5k metal right now. Needs more build power, more use of this stuff effectively. Getting ready to do some form of attack on the north here, but that will actually go quite successfully, I think. Trying to overwhelm him with grunts. Meanwhile, the force at the bottom gets mopped up pretty well. Chisato actually deciding to turn back. Now, StarDom trying to go for an overwhelm here by getting as many grunts out as possible. Just trying to give some form of barrier, some shield for his Tigers that he does have left. He does need units just on the field right now, forcing Chisato to react again. And he's kind of lucky that this hasn't been spotted, this advanced geothermal, because that would cause StarDom even more energy issues. But saying that, StarDom is up to 5k energy produced there now. The other fusion got built, and that advanced geothermal helped out considerably. The advanced geothermal was attempted to be built here along the top, but it will actually survive. But now that StarDom's aware that it's there, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to last very much longer. We are seeing a big open area though here to the south, as just a couple of normal advanced metal extractors. We're probably going to see StarDom make the most of that now and try and push into Chisato's base. Chisato definitely in control of air right now. Huge amount more fighters. As the Tigers come in here trying to take out Chisato's forces, whilst also getting pushed from the top. A single Tech 2 Scorpion pop-up causing some issues. Fighters come over, deal with all of StarDom's fighters. And that leaves the Shurikens to do their job and just pin down any enemy forces that get close. Although I still don't think he's necessarily going to be able to push it in quite as much as he was intending to initially. There are a lot of Tigers here from StarDom. A lot of Resbots as well, ready to just reclaim or resurrect anything that does die. Taking a lot of free damage from that pop-up turret, not able to get close enough, and unfortunately that trade ends really badly for Chisato. He does manage to pull off the forces and get behind and probably get a Tech 2 construction turret. Not construction turret, what am I about? Tech 2 extractor. Will not get that fusion in time. Although says that. Wow, actually does get the fusion, which takes out all the build power on those bot labs. That's a big play there. AA coming out though, which will make short work of these shurikens if its shurikens aren't microed, which they're not. And the force does come in of just single resbots. That's it. Just comes in right outside of Chisato's lines there. And Chisato now being forced back. Just pure swarms coming out from the grunts there. Did manage to turn the tide in his favor. You could argue that Chisato now has an overinvestment into air with all these fighters. However, we do see Tech 2 air actually being produced, which you don't see that often, especially in a 1v1. StarDom, however, still stuck predominantly on Tech 2, is planning actually to transition to Tech 3 as the last Tech 2 Tiger rolls off the line. That is a interesting play. Will it be enough to turn the tide? Surprisingly, with StarDom no longer producing units, deciding to actually go in on this. Not what I was expecting. I was expecting him to hold back with his forces, resurrect all these Tigers, and just hold on. He has the time advantage right now of, well, Chisato has the advantage right now, I would argue. But StarDom can't afford losing all of those forces whilst he's transitioning to Tech 3. Again, though, there we go. The hazardous geothermal goes up. Chisato's energy still in good shape. The dragon flying fortresses are just going to attack the base. He's ignoring the enemy forces, just going purely for the enemy commander. Kraganov being rushed off the line here. And the Kraganov does have great anti-air. I don't quite know if it's going to get built in time. These dragons are very good at just tanking and eating damage. This flak's not really going to do much. Huge amount of EMP. At the same time, we see a big push into Chisato's base here. At the same time, whose base will die first? StarDom's commander has to move. The tier 3 is no longer getting built as quick as it can. Where is Chisato's comm? Right in the top corner. This is going to be a base trade here as the Tigers make it into the base. StarDom's comm is spotted. Dragons trying their best to try and kill the commander. Another dragon turning up. Bombers also coming in. Misses the target. 1,000 health, 1,400 health left from StarDom. Couple of the dragons do go down. Bomber goes down. A single dragon left. It's not going to be enough as the base of Chisato gets absolutely obliterated. They've lost radar coverage. StarDom's comm manages to survive on 28% health. And with that, Chisato calls GG, and that was an amazing end. Very close. StarDom was so lucky to survive that at the end. Well played, both players, and I hope you join us, those that are watching, for the tournament on Saturday. I'll see you all, guys, next time.